What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel!
Today, we are diving back into a world of secrets and hidden power, where a single identity could change everything. A sudden realization strikes, leaving the young woman in a state of pure disbelief. The tension rises as a voice demands answers, questioning if a mere commoner could truly be behind such an event. The accusation hangs heavy in the air, setting the stage for a confrontation that could change everything. The investigation takes a sharp turn as a glaring inconsistency comes to light. Why, in a crowded academy, were only the elite students targeted during the attack? The idea of a random werewolf attack feels far too convenient. It would be much more believable if someone was simply playing a part, masquerading as a beast to strike fear. As the truth begins to unravel, the shadows of deception grow longer, leaving everyone questioning who can truly be trusted. The rhythmic tapping of fingers against fabric breaks the heavy silence, signaling a deep, calculating thought process. Others' sudden moment of clarity strikes. He realizes his previous assumptions about the opposing forces were completely wrong. A massive miscalculation has just set the stage for a much larger conflict. The tension in the air is palpable. It's hard to believe that these groups are already clashing as factions, even though they haven't even begun to gather their true strength. A sharp, knowing gaze meets the chaos. Behind that composed expression lies a mind calculating every move in this dangerous game of power. But as the shadows deepen, a silent observer watches it all unfold, wondering if the coming storm will leave anything left to save. Is this truly the reality of the continent's most prestigious academy? Behind its golden gates, a much darker truth is beginning to surface. A sudden movement catches the eye, breaking the silence of the corridor. But what looks like a simple insect is actually something far more sinister, lurking where it least belongs. A gloved hand tightens, gripping the edge of the situation with a silent, deadly focus. Behind those piercing, icy eyes, a storm is brewing. Every glance hides a calculated secret. He stands composed, masking his true intentions behind a facade of elegance. But the danger is far from over. A subtle rustling in the shadows catches his attention, signaling that something is moving where it shouldn't be. As he inspects the scrap of paper, the cryptic message written there threatens to unravel his carefully constructed cover. The situation has turned critical. 3 dangerous experiments have escaped, and the orders are clear: eliminate them immediately if they cannot be contained alive. But the stakes are much higher than just a simple containment mission. If these subjects are captured, the secret mission is over. One wrong move, one slip up, and his true identity will be exposed to the entire academy. The pressure is suffocating. A sudden realization strikes, and the weight of a new truth begins to settle in. Overwhelmed by the sheer weight of his circumstances, he can't help but cry out against the mounting pressure of his fate.
What's up, everyone?
Today, we're diving into one of the most intense manhwa out there. A sudden fracture has appeared, and nothing will ever be the same. A sudden moment of tension breaks the silence as a student notices something is wrong with the instructor, but with a cold, dismissive response. The secret remains hidden, leaving everyone wondering what he's truly masking. A shocking realization begins to dawn. The truth is far more dangerous than anyone imagined, as a hidden connection to a notorious secret society is finally revealed. Looking at the chaos unfolding, it becomes clear that even the masterminds behind this movement failed to foresee this unexpected turn of events. While seeing his enemies suffer would bring a sense of justice, The weight of the situation suggests that the real battle has only just begun. Air intense. The shadows are closing in. For a man living a double life, the constant threat of exposure is a weight he carries every single second. The realization hits hard. If his true identity is ever uncovered, there will be no turning back. The stakes have never been higher. He can no longer afford to be a passive observer. To protect the truth, he must take action, no matter the cost. The pressure is mounting. A cold command has been issued: eliminate the threats before the rival can strike first. But the stakes couldn't be higher. One single mistake, one moment of hesitation, and the entire deception will crumble. The orders are clear. Think whatever you must, but the mission must be completed at any cost. The clock is ticking. The tension in the academy is rising. A direct command has been issued. Patrols are being established immediately. The stakes have never been higher. The principal has issued a strict warning to all students to avoid the grounds late at night, even authorizing penalties for those who disobey. This isn't just a suggestion. It's a direct order. Serious. The tension in the room was palpable as the leader gave a curt nod, signaling the end of the discussion. With a final, decisive command, the meeting was officially adjourned, leaving the weight of their decisions hanging in the air. But as the group dispersed, a lingering sense of unease remained. Something is brewing beneath the surface, and the consequences could be devastating. The heavy rain falls relentlessly, mirroring the isolation of a man walking alone through the desolate courtyard. Every step feels heavy, as if the weight of a hidden identity is pulling him down into the mud. But beneath the polished boots of a scholar lies a secret that could shatter the very foundation of the academy. The shadows of the academy hold many secrets, but none as commanding as the figure standing tall in the light. With a voice that brooks no argument, he demands the hidden figure to reveal themselves. A bead of sweat rolls down a trembling face. The pressure is suffocating, and for the one lurking in the trees, there is nowhere left to run. Grand. The academy towers loomed over the landscape, a silent witness to the secrets hidden within its walls. They're intense. But beneath the surface of this prestigious institution, a hidden truth was beginning to surface, and no one was prepared for the impact. Suspenseful. A single, unexpected encounter is about to unravel everything. Intense. The professor's eyes widen as a familiar face emerges from the shadows. This girl. She's the very one who approached him at the very beginning. Low voice. But there's a twist no one saw coming. Who could have ever imagined she would reappear here, hiding in plain sight as a student? The atmosphere thickens as a piercing gaze locks onto his target, carrying an unspoken weight that demands immediate attention. A simple question is thrown into the air, but the response is nothing but stuttering hesitation and visible dread. There is no more time for words. A single, decisive command is issued, forcing the movement to begin before the truth can escape. Caught in the middle of a high-stakes investigation, a sudden, casual question breaks the heavy silence. The man stammers, caught completely off guard by the unexpected topic. A simple question about coffee hangs in the air, clashing violently with the dangerous atmosphere surrounding them. The young student can only stare in disbelief, wondering if the world has truly gone mad. The afternoon sun cast a warm, tranquil glow over the academy's courtyard, momentarily masking the tension brewing beneath the surface. But even in this moment of stillness, unspoken thoughts and lingering questions began to drift through the air, heavy with meaning. The atmosphere in the cafe was heavy, thick with an unspoken tension that neither student could ignore. A sudden, piercing question cut through the silence, leaving the young girl trembling as she struggled to find her voice. The interrogation was heating up. The truth was becoming impossible to hide. As the pressure mounted, a sharp realization struck. Having a surname meant there was no way to pass as a commoner anymore. The trap was closing in, stuttering under the weight of the accusation. The truth was finally forced into the light. But would this revelation be enough to save them? A single, chilling realization pierces through the silence. The truth is finally surfacing. The identity he's been hiding is no longer a secret. Confronted by the shadow following him, he demands answers, forcing the stranger to speak. But the response is nothing but a stuttering, nervous mess, leaving the real motive shrouded in uncertainty. Silence falls over the room as a powerful spell takes hold, sealing the area from any outside eavesdropping. The instructor has ensured that, as long as no one enters this zone, their secrets remain safe. The student watches in awe, realizing that the man known as First Order is even more prepared than they imagined. But then, a stern command cuts through the tension, demanding a complete change in how they address him. A sudden outburst shatters the quiet atmosphere, leaving everyone in a state of disbelief. The weight of the words hits hard as the realization of such unrefined behavior begins to sink in, but there's no room for debate. A stern command is issued, demanding absolute obedience in front of the crowd. The atmosphere in the room grew heavy as the man demanded an update on their ongoing operations, his eyes piercing through the silence. A sudden realization struck as the news broke. A violent werewolf incident has officially targeted their affiliated organization, signaling a dangerous new threat. Deep within the shadows of the academy, a dark secret is being unearthed. A cryptic experiment was being conducted by the Black Wizards, hidden from the eyes of the world. This group of scientists was cast out of society for their unethical and forbidden experiments. But the true horror lies in what happened next. The containment failed. Some of the experimental subjects have escaped, and they are no longer under control. One of these escaped horrors even breached the academy through the sewers, leaving behind innocent victims in its wake. The nightmare has officially begun. The atmosphere thickens as a heavy silence falls between them. The man's piercing gaze remains fixed, unreadable and intense. Overwhelmed by the pressure, the young student stammers, realizing they've said far too much. But the man's calm response only adds to the growing uncertainty. The conversation takes a sharp turn as the weight of responsibility is shifted onto others, attempting to deflect the growing tension. But the real reason for this confrontation is revealed. A connection to a certain professor is about to bring everything to light. The truth is far more dangerous than anyone imagined. This wasn't a choice. It was a direct command from a powerful, dreaded figure. He thought it was a simple favor, a mere use of his identity. He never imagined that lending his name would lead to such a dangerous entanglement. The weight of his choices is starting to settle in. What started as a small deception is spiraling out of control. With the situation spiraling, a cold realization hits him. To protect the mission, the threats must be eliminated immediately. He thought he was facing 3 enemies, but the truth is even more chilling. There are only 2, and they are much closer than he thought. He gasps. A single, sudden revelation leaves the man completely speechless, caught off guard by the weight of the words. The truth begins to unravel as the young woman reveals a discovery that changes everything. Just 2 days ago, A critical encounter in Lethevalk took place, and the implications are far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The realization hits like a physical blow. How could she have managed to contact him in total secrecy, even going as far as to infiltrate the academy as a mere student, without a single soul noticing? A single, terrifying thought begins to take shape in his mind. If this is true, then the implications are devastating. He can't help but wonder, could it really be? A single question hangs heavy in the air, casting a shadow of doubt over everything. We thought we knew. The realization begins to sink in. Could her noble blood be the very reason she's being excluded? After all, an organization built on defying the elite would never truly embrace one of their own. The trap is closing in. The harsh reality of this world is unforgiving. For some, life is nothing more than a resource to be consumed and discarded when no longer useful. The cracks are beginning to show. A fracture has appeared in the once stable foundation of the powerful, sending ripples of uncertainty through the shadows. No one saw this coming. The instability is spreading, and even the most secretive organizations are now facing a devastating split that could change everything. The shadows are thickening, and a single incident might just be the catalyst needed to push everything forward. With the enemy hiding deep within the sewers, the plan is set: expand the search perimeter immediately. But there's one critical question looming over the operation. Does their ally know the truth yet? The tension in the room was palpable as the truth began to surface, leaving no room for doubt. A heavy realization set in. The uncertainty of the coming days loomed over them like a dark cloud. With the secrets finally out in the open, a silent vow was made: if fate allows, their paths will cross once more. The atmosphere thickens as the student stammers, visibly shaken by the sudden presence of the man standing before them. Words fail to form as the realization of who is watching them begins to sink in, leaving the student paralyzed with fear. But the man's gaze is cold and calculating. He notes that this explanation is far more coherent than their first encounter, hinting at a deeper, hidden truth. With a steady gaze, the young student delivers a chillingly calm command, making it clear that the conversation isn't over yet. A heavy silence falls over the room, thick with the weight of unspoken expectations. As the shadows lengthen in the academy, the quiet tension between these two suggests a much deeper, more dangerous game is unfolding. A sudden, sharp sound breaks the silence, catching the professor's attention as a shadow looms over him. Alone in the quiet cafe, a heavy sense of gratitude and longing fills the air, leaving a lingering trace of unspoken words. The atmosphere grew heavy as the two figures moved through the shadows, their every step echoing the growing tension in the air. Suddenly, a sudden disturbance shattered the silence, leaving them frozen in confusion. What could it possibly be? The evening air was still, and the quiet cafe seemed like the perfect place for a peaceful moment. But then, a single word shattered the peace. Magic. The realization sent a chill through the room. As the observers watched from the shadows, one question burned in their minds. What kind of conversation could possibly require such a dangerous display of power? The atmosphere was heavy with tension as she watched from the shadows, her eyes narrowing in confusion. A single thought raced through her mind, leaving her completely baffled by the conversation. She just overheard. The shadows of the past are catching up. A single command issued under the cover of night is about to set everything in motion. But as the truth begins to surface, even the most prepared minds are left reeling from the sudden revelation. Before we dive into the next intense episode, we have an exciting announcement. Our team is growing, and we're looking for talented Korean translators and proofreaders to join our community. If you want to be part of the journey, head over to our Discord for all the details!